New Year's greetings and salutations, Workforce. This is Brian for Work to Game, and today we're going to be talking about some New World MMO development here. If you guys aren't aware, New World is an MMO that's going into beta in this April, and later in May it's going to be releasing into its official state. This is being brought to you by Amazon Games, the studio who's also working on a new Lord of the Rings MMO. Now, this comes from a German news site. This is really kind of interesting because there's a discussion piece that I want to have with you about this as well. But keep in mind, so far, at least over on Reddit, it doesn't seem all that positive. I'm going to say this right at the front before we dive into the information. This game isn't out yet. We really, there's no reason to be upset about what is or isn't. Everybody is having expectations set, and unfortunately, some of those aren't going to be met. But anyway, I just want to put that out there that I'm just going to tell you about the information. We're going to talk about it. I'd love to know your thoughts, but if you find yourself getting overly concerned or excited, I just wanted to temper you both ways. The game's not out yet. We still have so much more that we need to learn. I think personally this is going to be very fascinating, but let's go ahead and just dive in. So according to the news site Mean MMO, Amazon wants to tailor their New World MMO to Twitch. And when they basically sat down and talked with Scott Lane, who told them that they want their features to really offer something more for Twitch streamers and their viewers. This makes sense because Twitch is owned by Amazon, and it would only make sense that Amazon wants to start to leverage these connections together. And we've already seen some of the makings of this with other games like Borderlands 3 and more, through extensions and through different things that different viewers can actually have an impact on the game itself. So all in all, we'll have to wait to see what this actually really means. So this essentially comes from Scott Lane, and he's talking about chaotic PvE battles on a clear schedule. Now, New World, if you guys are not aware, they have this concept of this exploration and this PvP aspect, which recent controversies have been focusing in on, that people could toggle out of the PvP mode, which essentially makes everybody wonder, what does that even mean for a PvP, PvE focused centric game? But anyway, regarding the PvE battles, they want these things to be massive hordes of monsters that are going to attack on a regular schedule approach. So it says, the New World here, they have Pve Wars that are supposed to take place regularly. Here, groups of players defend a territory against hordes of monsters that attack in the hundreds. I cannot stress this enough, even if you're not a fan of PvP and you do not like to be in the middle of a battle, if the AI attacks you by the hundreds, you will defend yourself with the other players, and it's totally fun, he says. So PvE fans can also have the experience of what players in the alpha called huge battles. So he continues, players should also be able to register for these battles on a sign-up board. Every territory in New World will have a war interface, where you can see that the battle is around 9 AM server time. Now, though, through the appointment mechanics, you can actually signal that you would like to be a part of the battle tomorrow. Lane says that the greater influence a player in the territory has, the more likely that they will come to the battle. Now, how is this all related to Twitch? Lane says that the streamer armies are going to be offered as a feature. What are streamer armies? Well, it's basically going to give you the button to join their group directly from the stream. And the streamer can also choose how their subs can actually interact with them, maybe making that streamer join sub only. Really interesting, and we'll dive more here into a second. In addition to this, New World's going to offer a streamer spotlight feature in which that streamers can actually be identified in-game. This is going to reveal that if you were actually defeated by a streamer and whether or not the broadcast was live. So if you're streaming or not streaming, the game's going to know. And that's mind-boggling to me, but let's continue. So two names obviously Lane throws out is Tailor Ninja Blevins and Soda Poppin Morris, who is actually more known from World of Warcraft. And obviously with Ninja not even being on Twitch, I'm wondering if they're going to extend this functionality beyond Twitch itself. I don't know, it's going to be really interesting to see. Now, one of Twitch's co-founders, Kevin Lin, has recently predicted that the game industry would go in this direction, with in-game streamers would have more concrete opportunities to interact directly with their fans. And Twitch obviously was purchased by Amazon in 2014, and that's what the article is going on to say. So, what does this mean? What is this philosophy to the massive battles for PvE-driven content? Not just PvP, because when we talked about this in an earlier video, everything you need to know about New World, a lot of people are like, oh, PvP, I'm out. Totally understandable. PvP isn't for everybody. But this game's also trying to offer something for everybody. And sometimes that can actually be a detriment to the game itself, like a master of nothing, the red mage of of MMOs. So here's my 2 cents. I'm not surprised by this move at all. I think we'll end up seeing more and more of this. It's going to be surprising as we see Stadia moving in that same direction. I'm probably going to see something from Microsoft and something from Sony. As MMOs go, I think 2020 is going to be a huge resurgence of the genre. When we look at games like Ashes of Creation, which there was a letter from the director. We'll cover that probably in another video because it is kind of a long letter. And Ashes of Creation is an interesting kind of conversation in and of itself. But anyway, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So as far as it goes, though, it doesn't surprise me. I can easily see more and more games tying more and more into that. And the reason is, as far as it goes, despite like any kind of frustrations around it, the reason it's so valuable is that the streaming culture and that earned media culture continues to kind of feed those games, especially multiplayer games. To ignore it in 2020 and beyond would be a detriment to your game, because essentially when people stop playing and stop streaming it, it kind of falls out of the cultural narrative. Gamers as a whole, as a passionate group, are very great about that conversation. That's why there's so much hype and excitement around a single player game. But then over the course of time, that the conversation moves on to the next thing. And multiplayer games have a different aspect, and their value and their worth comes actually from bringing new players in, and also maybe having players who've fallen away come back. And that can be frustrating. It's like ultimately when you look back at the last decade, I've been playing a lot of older games. Like you look at Minecraft, Fortnite, Final Fantasy, like World of Warcraft. Like these are some persistent games that have really dominated. And they've dominated because also part of that earned media aspect of it all. But in the end, I can't tell you how I would feel if I got totally destroyed by a streamer. Now, I don't consider myself a streamer personally, and I know that's not necessarily the case. Typically, we're asked, like, how do you grow as a streamer? To which I would respond, I have no idea. Like, we stream occasionally, but it's more about, like, videos like this, content creation, news, education, things like that. That's kind of really where we like to kind of be in that space we want to be in. But like you think of these full-time streamers, you think of Ninja, you think of, in this case, Soda Pop McGee, whatever they called him. Soda Pop and Morris, there we go. Is it going to be where you're at work and you can participate, or you can't participate, so you're more engaged in watching? Playing and watching culture, when we see this, especially as we start to see esports take over the mindset of college sports, and we've seen articles written up about that, 2020 is going to be a very interesting year. But I want to talk about now, I want to kind of shift focus here to a little bit of what the Reddit community is saying. And this is kind of going back to don't get too hyped and don't get too discouraged, right? Because once the beta is out, and I continue to discourage pre-orders, because outside of consoles and things of limited supply, there really isn't a need. You can actually wait till the beta goes live, pre-order, and jump in. If people say it's worth it, you can also pre-order. You can cancel that pre-order and still play the beta. So just keep in mind that there's definitely a couple ways you can go about it. But obviously, like, listen here, Dystarian says, wow, this is sounding terrible. So you enter into an instance battle that you're thrown into a lottery, and then you have to wait a bunch of time. Didn't get in yesterday or really early. Sounds like you're out of luck. Just go to the streamer having fun instead of you having fun. This is massively going to hurt this game for people who do not or are not able to jump in and do cool things without having to play multiple play sessions before finally getting planned for the fun, like it's Monday Night Football. Here's where I disagree with that concept. We've seen over the last decade just kind of this all-inclusive, everybody can do everything at all the times content, and then we've seen people who, everybody kind of likes being able to play when they like to be able to play, but ultimately when we look at MMOs, people have said, like, there's the soul that has been kind of missing, and it's kind of this, kind of everybody can do things solo, right? Having that solo experience. Scarcity, rarity play into that. They play into that value and that excitement. We were seeing that play out in Final Fantasy XIV with the rebuilding of Ishgard, where everybody was upset they couldn't do it, and now really nobody, like, it all balances itself out. I think that, right or wrong here, being able to experience it from that earned media, from that streaming perspective, speaks to a younger audience. And when we're talking about that younger audience coming in and participating and being excited about it, because maybe they're in school, maybe they can't. It's not just like a work thing. Full-time adult you know, family, men and women, kind of a different story. Like the time commitment is going to be ultimately kind of a difficult thing. I'm speaking to the kind of next generation of gamers here. And this is kind of where, like, yeah, I agree this sucks, because if I can't do the thing and I've got time to do the thing, and the only option now is to go watch somebody else do the thing, that's not cool. Totally get it. But from the, oh my gosh, like, this is something so cool, I haven't been able to do that yet. I want to learn, I want to watch, I want to get a part of that. There's this earned media, this sense that could drive up a lot of viewership. And when you talk about like Fortnite and Minecraft, games that have dominated the last decade, where MMOs have really kind of slipped out, I could see this kind of maybe even leading to a resurgence in the MMO, and the resurgence of getting more and more people interested to join into these wars that are all happening online. Whether you can participate in them or not, having these things have an impact could be really something interesting to see. Ultimately, again, don't get your hype, set your hype meter correct, watch that, balance that out, so that way you can have the best level experience when it comes into it. Video games and this engine, especially of earned media, is a hype engine. It is built around that. It's supposed to kind of get your expectations set incorrectly, and then they just move on to the next thing. Like, if the game lands and it's fan-freaking-tastic, well, great. But if it doesn't, there's something always going to be around the corner that people can kind of move into. And that's kind of it's not a real big risk if they can go and try to do these things and experiment in these different ways. But that's just my thoughts. And hopefully you guys, or I'm sure somebody's going to be like, Brian, your voice sounds different. Yes, I've kind of repositioned the mic. I wanted to get it kind of more of my, like, I guess, raw voice. Because somebody was saying, sounded like I was on a conference call the other day. Anyway, I want to know your thoughts. Sound off in the comments below. Let's have that conversation. I'm actually really excited about New World. Like we talked about it in my video, I'm very much looking forward to it. It seems to be something very interesting. Along with Pantheon, Ashes of Creation, if those games come out in 2020, Lost Ark, I've been playing that as well. Like, there's a bunch of really cool stuff on the horizon. Lost Ark seems to feel more like of what the last decade was. New World, Pantheon, and Ashes of Creation seem to be like maybe a more return to sandbox. And then obviously we've got what Final Fantasy XIV is going to be doing in 2020 as well. So there's going to be just a lot of play. My goodness. I don't know where I'm going to find the time, but I'm going to hunt for every ounce of it to talk about these games. Guys, there's a lot going on. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. If you've stuck with me in this video so far, I hope you guys go check out my Ginger Prime channel. I've got some Phantasy Star Online too, Anthem. We'll have some more games that we'll be covering over there as well. So please go hit that subscribe button over there. Love to see you over there as well. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns. I love you very much. Happy New Year. And yeah, talk to you soon.